Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. I'm here for some spooky stuff this time. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Here, and this is what is the book we're going to take a look at a little bit. Now, I've briefly showed this before in amongst a bunch of other digest-sized comics. This is from Harvey Comics. It is a digest-sized comic of Shocking Tales #1. And I probably got this like 30 years or so ago. Got it used and looked through it several times. This, as I said, is from Harvey, and it's published in 1981, but it is reprinting Harvey horror stories from about 58, 59, 57, somewhere along in there, in the 50s. And when I got this, I had no knowledge of the old tradition that Harvey had with horror comics, including pre-code horror, until I got this, and then I've learned more about it later, because I had always associated Harvey with the stuff that I had known from Harvey, the kidsy comic stories, Casper and Richie Rich and that stuff. And I kind of Hot Stuff and Spooky was always my favorite from Harvey characters with Wendy. And then here's some real spooky stuff. You can see this is this cover illustration. You can see the back cover's got some stuff from the inside, and it doesn't say anywhere on who did this cover illustration, but just looking at it, I would say it was drawn by Ernie Cologne. Did I say Irving? Ernie Cologne, who had worked with the Harvey, did Harvey comics for many years. The mainstays like Casper and the like. He did those for many years before he moved over to DC and Marvel, where sometimes he resurrected the Harvey style for some of his needs there. So we'll just take a little look. This is a variety of creators. Most of them are uncredited, and so it's hard to know. Here's the splash page. It's giving you a little taste of basically a contents page. It has a little page here of something about strange superstitions and colorama. Some guy who has some vision problems goes to get his glasses until some new glasses, and then gradually the colors all fade and disappear. And another one. What's the next one? Line up. Some people lining up about a murder. This has some nice artwork. Did it have a credit here? Some of them. It has the artist's writing his name. I don't know. And The Hero. This is it's only a 2-pager. It says about some kind of astronaut going, and he goes to this planet, and he's a big hero, and he's zapping some aliens who are attacking him, and he gets back home, and it turns out he's a very small dwarf fellow, and it's necessary for the ship. For the ship was is very small as well. Then it's First Man on the Moon. This takes place in 1968. Space platform, 1968. And he goes, just a little 2-pager, and he gets on the moon and says, "So do you think you're going to find any life?" And he says, "No, I don't think so. No sign of life." So he's out there, explores a little bit, goes back to his ship, and then as he's dictating his report, here's clump, 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 something coming up on the stairs, and then knock, knock, knock at the door. That's kind of creepy. Canceled, doesn't matter, don't know, doesn't matter. We'll just kind of get through some stuff. Then we get, here we go. This is the Cadmus Seed, and this is done by Jack Kirby. And yeah, I previously hadn't, prior to this, I hadn't known that Jack Kirby had done any Harvey stuff. He did some of the horror before he was doing the, or at the same time, he was doing some of the monster stuff at Atlas. But this was a little bit more on the horror, science fiction-y, creepy science fiction-y stuff. Then I have to wonder, just because it's called The Cadmus Seed, and I wonder if that title may have played a part in when he did the Fourth World and had Project Cadmus at DC. Because it's kind of similar. In this case, it's a little, develop something that are little tiny human-shaped seeds, but when plants them, they grow these plants, and he calls them and the name Cadmus comes from a myth, Greek myth of hero Cadmus, who is given dragon's teeth, and he plants the dragon's teeth, and they all sprout and grow into warriors. So Cadmus has an army, and that's it. It's only a 3-page story. And then an explosion, something he creates these plant people. They grow into these robust young men of various colors, and they are aggressive and very strong. Then an untimely explosion happens, and this thing is destroyed. But a few of the plant men survive, and they become great athletes and aggressive football players and fighters, boxers. And then they find in the rubble another sack of seed that was different from the one that he had seen before, and they look at it, and they're all kinds of little tiny seeds of Dr. Cadmus himself. And this volume has several Jack Kirby stories. The Fourth Dimension. This has a lot of surrealistic imagery from which is kind of unusual for him. It would have the imagery would have worked a little better with Steve Ditko, but he did a fine job here with surrealism and some weird stuff going into this. Accidentally pulled into this little dimension. It's very surrealistic, and when he pops out, and it's a young lady was the surrealistic thing that was holding him. This is just a form she has assumed because she fell in love with him, and so they wind up getting married. And this is the one I really wanted to focus on. This is The Last Enemy, and this is a guy had been working for some government lab, developed this cube that's a time machine. He goes like 500 or 1,000 years into the future, and finds here strewn about a bunch of corpses of tigers dressed in human attire, and he finds these rats, and they clunk him on the head, and they talk, they speak, they want the secret of atomic bombs, because this took place. He learns that there had been a nuclear war on Earth, which destroyed all the men, but the animals mutated, and became intelligent and could speak and all this other stuff, and now they want the atomic bomb because they're fighting each other. The rats are trying to take over from the other animals. So then they're being engulfed, attacked. The allied animals free him, and he freely gives them some scientific secrets because he figures the dogs, bears, foxes are better because at least they're allied together, would be better to rule the world than the rats. And then he finds his time machine and goes back. Now the funny thing is, because this seems to be the genesis of the concept that Kirby later used when he created Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth, for DC. I don't know that for sure, but it sure seems like it to me, and I've heard that from others. And some other little stories. There's a funny one with an odd one with a hole in the wall, and a guy finds a hole and it takes him to a utopian society in another universe. The big hunt, hunting these weird monsters, and then what's interesting here, I'm not going to go into so much into the stories, is that there's several stories featuring the Man in Black, and the Man in Black was a horror host for one of the titles, the Harvey horror titles, and he's also teamed up with the Fates from mythology. They weave men's fates, and he interacts with them working together. But one of the interesting things is that sometimes the Man in Black is part of the story, not just telling the story. He is actually plays a part in the stories. And this is, I think, a Bob Powell, I think is what it said. It's another science fiction-y strange story. Then more Man in Black. And I think here he is with the Fates again. And he's directly intervening here. And but then he's supposed to take this, the death. This guy's supposed to die, and the lady doesn't want him to die, and she keeps intervening all the way down to wind up sinking the ship. He's supposed to take the man, but she loves him so much she couldn't bear to lose him, and she's weeping as he's about to take him in death, and he gets soft and leaves the man alive, and then he gets chewed out by the Fates. Then the fly in the ointment, something in the medieval period, in the medieval period of the looks like the Middle East somewhere, and then we have another one. There's the Weaver, and it's the fate that he's with. This is a little story about some. She's telling this story. I guess he was a gladiator in Roman times, and he's in love with this lady, and they escape. Managed to fight to escape Rome. He uses his gladiatorial skills, and they run away together to find a new home. And it turns out that they seek refuge in Pompeii just the day before the Vesuvius eruption, and then the fireballs, and just a couple other little stories of the invasion, and there's another Kirby story, and that's about all I'm going to cover here. And ran longer than I had intended, just on that. It's an interesting little book to see some of the strange things that came out of Harvey comics in the 50s, stuff that I had prior to getting this, had no idea that Harvey had done all these things. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. You got other horror-loving fans, or at least some old spooky stuff. Share this with them. And have you ever seen this, or if you know something about some of the Harvey stuff. I've got a couple of other reprints since then of some Harvey stuff. But if you like this, and know some more about their Harvey horror, well, leave a comment for me below. Let me know what you know. And remember, comics are art.